Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Barefoot Conversation with Magdalene. How are you doing? How has it been? It's another wonderful week. The week has gone so quick. I keep saying this all the time, but I guess it's just going to be my mantra now. The week has gone so quick. So how was your week? How was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? What did you get up to? How was your weekend? Because many people are like, oh, thank God it's Friday. I used to be one of those people looking forward to the weekend at all costs. Just like, I need to be at Friday. Let it come Friday. Wishing my life away, and then coming Sunday night. Like, oh God, here we go again. But not so. Like not so now. Enjoying every single day that God has enabled me to see. So how are you doing? And thank you for tuning in to watch another episode with myself, Magdalene Adenike. Who is Magdalene? Magdalene is a business owner and an entrepreneur. I have two businesses. I'm the CEO and founder of Music Relief Foundation, who work with young people to unleash their creative spirits using music and the arts as a source of therapy. And on that note, we actually have wonderful workshops taking place right now. We have a drama workshop taking place, so that takes place every Saturday morning, right up to July, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. So register your young people, 11 to 19 years old. It should be good for them to be involved in, because the young people are working on a great topic right now, gangs. I'm not going to say anything, I'm not going to go any further, but just that word alone, you will understand. And yet, the twist in which they're using it and they're turning it around is phenomenal, because these are young people who people like, oh, these are the young people who are involved in gang activities. Why are they doing this? But these are young people who are not involved in gang activities. I'm saying, you know what? In the same basket, because we are actually different. So they're doing great work. So get young people involved, register, find out more, go onto our website, www.music-relief.com. I'm also the CEO and founder of Magdalene Adenike, where I work and coach women who are struggling to find their purpose in life, helping them to identify, to connect, or reconnect in order for them to live a purposeful life. What am I talking about today? This is another great show we're talking about today. I've touched on this topic before, but I think it's relevant for me to talk on it again today, especially with this week. This week is Mental Health Awareness Week. And so if you listen to the news, read the newspaper, there's a lot of talk about mental health and what more can be done. And so it's so important that I jump on the bandwagon and also talk about it as well, especially the fact that when we look at young people, there are many young people who are suffering silence because of mental health. I remember when I was thinking about this whole thing, I was just talking to my 18-year-old son yesterday, last night, and I said to him, what do young people say? What are you saying about mental health? And he just looks at me. I'm like, yeah, what are they saying? And he's like, it's not something that they talk about. So I was like, why not? He's like, it's just not something we talk about. We just don't talk about. We talk about other things, or we just don't talk about that. And so that got me thinking, and I was like, okay, so is that unique only to his circle of friends, or is that something that all young people are doing, that they don't talk about mental health? They don't talk about these issues that are affecting them because they don't want to be, they don't want to be ostracized from their friendship groups, or what is it? I just want to know. That was the reason why, because I said I wanted to get a young person's perspective on this and kind of get the idea. And so that leads me nicely to my topic today. And my topic today is, how are schools supporting students with mental health? Students with mental health. So outside of the home where our children are, they spend the majority of their time in school. From when they start school, either nursery or reception, right up to college, university, they're in school. So the majority of their life is spent in school. And so if you have a young person who is exhibiting some form of mental health illnesses, what are schools doing? Are the teachers and the school staff and the administrative staff, are they well equipped? Are they well equipped to identify, first of all, to identify the symptoms, and also once they've identified it, are they well equipped to help the young people exhibiting these symptoms? Are they able to do so? Outside of saying, calling the parents and telling the parents, oh, take them to somebody that can help them, what are the schools themselves actually doing? And so those are the things that just going from my mind, and I wanted to ask, because when you listen to the news, there's a lot of talk about Theresa May was talking about bringing in more money to help with mental health hospitals, especially with mental health practitioners, because there's been a drop in I think, I don't want to get my figures wrong, but there's been a massive drop in mental health practitioners, nurses. And so obviously with so much cases that are being reported, they need to have more well-trained mental health practitioners on ground to be able to identify and to support. But the question now is, the question I want to ask is, if a person is feeling down, you're just feeling tired and weary, probably you're just being stressed from a particular thing, you've been working at work or at school or at home, and you're just, just feeling down and irritated and very irritable at everything, you're just snapping and everything, and you just, everything about you is just not right because you just irritated, you just don't want to be around people. Would that be classed as mental health? Would that be saying that this person is going through depression or anxiety or stress? Is that classed as mental health? I remember this topic was touched on briefly on LBC yesterday. I remember listening to LBC yesterday, and this was something I was talking about. And the expert that was on, she said, we have to be careful before we start labeling every single thing as mental health. It could just be a human moment. And I totally agree with that, because I know for me personally, sometimes I'm just so tired, and it's like I just get so snappy, and just everybody just leave me alone because I'm tired, I'm stressed. And just let me be, let me be. And then once I've had that moment, once I've had a moment to myself and just be, then I can come back and just kind of relate with people. And so when she said that, I was like, this is great, because of what's happening now with so many, is the huge rise of the cases that have been reported, and so many people who were not supported well and have gone on to do so many heinous crimes because of their illness. It's obviously very topical in the news, and especially this week being Mental Health Awareness Week. So I'm like, this is something that people need to hear, so that everybody not just jump on a bandwagon and say, okay, this person is having a mental disorder breakdown, and so we need to kind of look up that person and all the rest of it. Is it just, sometimes we have to look at it, is it just a human moment? Someone's just having a human moment, and people are now over saying, oh, this person is a danger to society. But then on the other hand now, when does a human moment cross over to become full-blown mental illnesses? That's a question as well we need to ask ourselves, when does that happen? And so with all of these things, I was just thinking, so because you ask yourself a question and then it leads to another question, So I said I need to just kind of really do a good research, so I don't just come on air and just talk off my head. I need to be able to arm myself with the right information so that I'm not an expert. I keep saying this since I've been told big topic to talk about. I am not an expert in that. I don't call myself a mental health practitioner expert or something like that. No, I call myself a transformation expert, two different things. So I went and I began to research, and I said, okay, what are symptoms of mental health? So this is either for schools, for young people, for adults, whatever. What are the symptoms of mental health? And so it was broken down that you have mental disorder, you have depression, you have anxiety, you have substance abuse, and so many other things. I know a few weeks ago, I talked about juvenile delinquency. Is it beyond parental control? And then there's one thing when a child is given birth to get to the point of the teenagehood, and then they start to, because of hormonal changes and so many things, they want to just kind of push boundaries and want to begin to start to disrespect parents and adults around them, because that's the age they want to push that boundaries. But then there's other things as well that we have to look at, and that day I touched on substance abuse. So you have this child who is already hyperactive in a sense, and just kind of pushing boundaries and just wanting to be, just trying to explore more about themselves, and as they're growing up and changing and everything. And then you have all of this hormonal changes taking place, and then on top of that, they begin to use drugs and alcohol to further fuel that unbalance that's already taking place within them. So that's even worse. That's ×2 of what the parent needs to deal with. So now along the line of mental disorder or mental health, system of mental health, substance abuse has also been highlighted here, because when a person, adult or child, begins to take substance abuse drugs in different ways, it obviously begins to mess with their head, and then they're sitting there saying, they're seeing things, they begin to hallucinate, they're seeing things, or they're hearing things, and somebody's telling them, go and do this and do that. So many things, because they're, in a sense, putting poison into their body, and the toxins are obviously reacting, and then it's causing them to do so many things, and it will affect the brain, and it will begin, so many things will begin to happen. I really don't want to do it because I'm not an expert. I don't know the nitty-gritty of all those things, but I'm just talking about when I check, I do in the course of my research, what are the symptoms of mental health? And you see, with this now, I want to quickly pause here, because I would love to get an expert to put out a message and just kind of really tell us. I want the expert to tell us, this is something, so for those who are listening live and those who will catch the replay, I want an expert in this field to really tell us, what are the trigger points? What should parents be looking out for? And what should society, so not just young people now, so society as a whole, be looking out for? When do we get to that point that you have that demarcation of when a person is having a human moment, and then when it gets to a full-blown mental disorder? What should we be looking out for? And should we be looking out for? Because it seems like everyone is talking about it. Was it last month or so? We had it was in the news about Prince William and Lady Gaga having a Skype discussion, and they were talking about mental health. And obviously, when we talk about Prince William and his brother Prince Harry, they talk about depression and everything, especially around the time of their mom's passing, and how they had to really seek help to be able to deal with it, because obviously she passed when they were still very young. So, and it wasn't something that they could grieve privately, because obviously being princes, they're in the public eye, so everybody wants to see them, everybody wants to know what's happening with them, and so they're having to deal with that public life as well as grieve and mourn for the passing of their mother, who it's been so many years now. So you understand. So all of this is, so when that came about, when that conversation with Prince William and Lady Gaga came about I believe it was early last month, it was all over the news. And since then, Prince William, the wife, and Prince Harry have been around. They are putting their voice across, and they're not keeping quiet. They're using their position to be able to highlight this case and really put it in the forefront of our minds, to let everybody know that this is just as equal as a physical ailment, and it should not be swept under the carpet. That we need to really take it serious, which is fantastic, because they're using their position in a right way to highlight such a worthy cause, that people are suffering, young people are suffering needlessly. The last time I talked about mental health, I looked at it in the perspective of culture and if it's a taboo. And I remember going through Twitter yesterday, and there was this young lady who had an interview on ITV, and she was talking about coming from African parents, which I can fully identify with. And she said that it's not the norm, it's not something that is discussed, because you can't come to your parents and tell them that you're having this issue, because it's not something that we used to. So when you come in like that, they were like, they go and sit and you're tired or whatever. But she knew that it was further, it was deeper and bigger than that. I think from the news reports, the report I was watching, she was beginning to exhibit so many different things at the age of 13, I believe it was. And so at a young age, she doesn't understand. But one thing that gave her a source of therapy was art. I don't know if she was already drawing before, but somehow she fell into it, and art therapy, and she began to draw using her iPad, and they were showing it on this ITV report, and they were showing it how she was drawing with her on her iPad, and she was saying that she could get lost in that for hours, and I can identify with that, especially when I put on my hat as a facilitator, coordinator, and founder of the Music Relief Foundation, using music, because from my personal experience, when I was younger, 18 years ago, going through all that abuse and everybody turning their back on you and saying to you you're disgraced and everything because of the pregnancy, but having that source of relief from music. So music was what I could get lost in. So it was just, I could no longer sing publicly, but just the listening pleasure. So it's like almost like being translated into another time, into another place. through that music, through the melodious voices, the lyrics, everything. It's not something that you can describe, but it's more of a feeling. And once you get into it, you just get lost in it, and nothing else. You don't see anything else. Nothing else matters. Nothing else exists. So when she talked about getting a relief and getting lost in art therapy, I fully understand what she's saying. So let me go back to the topic on hand today, which is how a school supporting students with mental health. So like I said, I always want to just kind of really find out and get this information. And so in the course of my research, I came across an article that was in the Metro, and it talks about the topic, the heading is Schools Struggling to Support Children with Mental Health Problems. And so in reading, I'm just going to read brief of the article. It says, 1 in 10 children between 5 and 16 years old, 5 years old, wow, suffer with depression, anxiety, or conduct disorder, according to the Mental Health Foundation. That is amazing. 5 years old. 1 in 10 children between 5 and 16 years old suffer with depression, anxiety, or conduct disorder, according to the Mental Health Foundation. And then it goes on to say, but more than half of UK schools are struggling to support them, a new study found. Are struggling to support them. Wow. Because of the fact that the teachers are trained to come, they're trained to learn their arts, teaching, and come and present what they've been taught. And over the years, obviously, fine-tune their art and become experienced and good in teaching. But then when a child is exhibiting depression, anxiety, especially if it's centered around when it comes to exam and assignments, when they feel that they don't understand it, or they may fail, and so many things, that could really cause a person to become very anxious. How can a teacher support that? How can a teacher first of all, how can they identify that and then support that? Again, in LBC this morning, I was listening to LBC again this morning, it was talking about how parents are now telling children that they will buy them gifts. Parents are, in a sense, offering to buy gifts for their children if they do well in an exam. So my question to you now, is that a good thing? Or is that another added pressure on the child that will cause that child to then begin to tip towards that anxiety and depression? Because the child now says that, okay, my mom and dad have said to me that they're going to buy me X, Y, and Z, so that the onus is now for me to ensure I get good grades. But if that child is really struggling, and then they don't get the grades, and so what happens then? If they don't get the grades, will the parents not buy the gift for them anymore? Is that a good thing? For me as a parent, this is my personal opinion. I don't think it's a good thing. This is my personal opinion. I'm just putting my opinions out there. I don't think it's a good thing, because I know my daughters always say to me, oh, I've been good in school, so can you buy me X, Y, and Z? And I'm like, no, I will buy it for you. I will buy something for you when I decide to buy, or when your dad decides to buy, I will buy stuff for you. But we're not going to buy something for you because you are being good in school. This is the expectation we have for you, that you should be good. If you're good, fantastic. If you're struggling, you need help in certain things, again, fantastic, because at least we know that we're there to help you, and you know that we're there to help you. But to say to you, because if you're good, I'm going to buy you this, for me, I think you're adding pressure onto the child, because you're telling the child indirectly that until you do good, you won't get this. So back to my question again, is that not then adding more pressure onto the child, making the child feel that he or she must push themselves, even they're struggling, they must push and not sleep, because they must ensure they get the A's and the A stars, because mommy and daddy has promised to buy them this. Let me carry on with the report. It says, Theresa May recently announced that schools will receive mental health training, but this doesn't apply to primary schools. So she has announced that schools will receive mental health training, Theresa May, our Prime Minister. But why doesn't it apply to primary schools? If the report is showing from the Mental Health Foundation that 1 in 10 children between 5 and 16, the primary schools are the formative years. Those are the initial time. Those are very pivotal times in the life of a child. When they are beginning to have that, they're having that taste of school, having to learn the basic fundamental things that will set them up for life. Why then isn't it important for Theresa May and the government to provide that mental health training in primary school? Can somebody, do you understand what I'm saying? I want somebody to respond back and let me know, especially the experts out there. I want to know why is it. I'm just reading an article from the Metro. So this is not me, this is an article that I found and I'm reading it out. And this was back in February of this year. So there might be recent articles. I did research, I didn't say anything in research. So this is the recent one I found for this year, 2017. And it says researchers found more than 50% of all cases involving youth begin from the age of 14. So that goes back to just what I just said. It starts from the age of 14. So now my question to that is that the age that they've actually identified that there's a problem? Or is it that it's actually starting at that age? Because if we go back to the beginning of this article that says 1 in 10 beginning from the age of 5 to 6 years, so that means something would have happened already. And maybe the young person has been able to suppress it up until the age of 14. But then if the schools are not the primary schools, not just schools, are primary schools, the teachers are not being offered this mental health training from primary schools, how are they able to identify? So if the parents have identified something at home and they reach out to the teachers, the school, and they reach out to their child's school, the primary schools, what then can happen? What will happen if teachers are not trained, if they're not equipped? How can they further support the parent in making sure that the child is well catered for, so that that child does not get classed as special need when he or she is not special need? There's a question I'm putting out there. It says, there's a school here, it says exams, relationships, and social media are some of the challenges pupils face. Very true, because with the rise of technology, there's always a positive, and then you look at the negative. The positive side of things is that it connects us. I'm here talking to you, I'm connected to people from different parts of the world who are not necessarily in the same space as me, in the same country as me, but they're able to connect with me through the power of technology. That's a plus. But the negative side of things now, we hear about online bullying. Before, it used to be in the school playground, and then the child will probably be moved from there and then move to somewhere else, and hopefully by the grace of God it stops. But now it's moved from the playground to online bullying. So that's the negative side of obviously the surge and the rise of technology. So that's what it's saying here. Exams, relationships, and social media are some of the challenges people face. And this Carwell Primary in East London has the counselling service to help children experiencing these problems. So that's a particular school that has been mentioned in East London, a particular primary school, I may add, who are now offering counselling services to help children who are experiencing these problems. So he said, let me just read this quickly before I go to another one. It says, Paul Harris, executive head teacher, told Channel 4 News, we have children who are facing homelessness, seeing things they shouldn't have seen. Using social media has opened up a whole new wild world to them. Exactly. Social media has exposed children. And you find that I'm always saying this, and myself, and close to friends of mine always saying this as well. Social media has robbed our children of being children because they are being exposed to so many things at an early age. And the child is no longer allowed to be a child and be free, because all of a sudden now they want to become this person and that person. Is that the right thing to do? Does that not bring more stress to that child because they feel they have to conform to a certain way, when the child should be free and just be a child? Again, I was just looking at so many things that were just like, I need to calm myself before I come on air and speak. And then in the process of research, I came across this charity called Young Minds. So please do there's so many other charities out there. This one is called Young Minds. It's youngminds.org.uk, so you can check them out. And he talks about, especially for schools, it's talking about supporting schools. So for those schools, the primary schools, secondary schools, who don't have that support and are desperate to have that support, I recommend that you check out these guys and give them a call and obviously have that conversation. Youngminds.org.uk. They help you address the stresses. It is helping you address the stresses and strains of school life. So they support schools. Because these are some of the things that they do: supporting schools, mental health and awareness, and resilience training schools. So mental health and awareness and resilience training schools. It says a whole school approach to resilience, resources for schools. So there's a lot of things here on their website. So it's youngminds.org.uk. Please do go on there and check them out. There is a reference, there's a testimonial from a teacher in Lewisham. It says the quality of the presentation was excellent and content highly relevant to our educational context. So this is the fellow teacher to other teachers out there as well, who is giving them a glowing testimonial. I'm just conscious of time, but do check them up there, youngminds.org.uk. But before I go, I just want to say this. For any young person or adults, obviously, who are concerned for themselves or family members, please do not keep quiet. Reach out to the appropriate people. So for me, the first point of contact I would expect is the GP. Some may know what to do, some may not know. For those who don't know, you have to have question marks. You'll be like, okay, what are you doing? So reach out to your GP. Don't suffer in silence, regardless of culture, your age, your race, whatever. Reach out and get the support that you need. If you do not know, don't brush it aside and say it is nothing when it is something. Knowledge is power. So please equip yourself and be armed. That's why they have in this whole week as mental health awareness, so that people will know that actually there are other people like themselves out there who are also going through similar issues. So do not suffer in silence. Reach out and get the necessary support that you need. Barefoot Conversations, we are just talking about this case because obviously this is the week we're highlighting what is actually taking place this week. There's a lot of talk. It's not just this week. There's been a lot of talk about it, but obviously this week has been dedicated as the Mental Health Awareness Week so that many people will be aware of this. And we're asking everybody out there, please don't suffer in silence. Get the necessary help that you require. And for those in different religious sectors, traditions, cultures, please don't brush it aside and say because it's not the norm within our culture, then it's nothing. Do not do that because what you're doing, you're killing that person quietly. People need help. We shouldn't be ashamed of it. Reach out and get the support. So my time is quickly coming to an end. I am so grateful for each and every one of you who are always supporting me by coming on air live, catching the replay, leaving your wonderful comments. I do appreciate it. I really, really do appreciate it. And that's the love, because of that love and that support that keeps me going every single week. So my time is coming to an end, but it's been fun. It's been lovely. This topic, there's so many angles we can look at. I've not been able to really delve into it, but as usual, my time is gone. Barefoot Conversations with Magdalene is every Tuesday mornings from 11 a.m. to 11:30, so it's only half an hour. So please do leave your comments as you have been doing, and I really appreciate it. Check me out, check more of what I'm doing. Magdalene@nike.com. A fantastic event coming up on the 3rd of June. I've changed the title. It says the role of storytelling on career reorientation. So many of us are in the process of our life wondering which way should we go. Storytelling will help you find out more. Check the website, Magdalene@nike.com. I have another fantastic event coming up. It's a friends event coming up. It's actually next week, Saturday at Canary Wharf. It's on the 20th of May. It's called Purpose Walk. Check that out as well. So that's purposewalk.com. Until next week, Tuesday, I was going to say next week, Saturday. Until next week, Tuesday, keep safe, have a great week, be productive, follow after your dreams, achieve your goals, and enjoy your level of success. You have a great day. Bye for now.